The third cataclysm. How many human civilizations could have existed before us? If you look across various sources online, books and television shows, you may find a fringe theory that states that either extraterrestrials or a lost, technologically advanced civilization detonated atomic-level weaponry in Earth's distant past. From Mauritania to Iran, there is evidence for the existence of an advanced ancient race of humans, who may have been giants, that could have been wiped out by technology similar to what can be found today in the 21st century. This raises the question, who were they, and what wiped them out? While apocalyptic disasters from our ancient past are not a groundbreaking concept, given that ancient texts from nearly every corner of the globe speak of an epic flood that decimated the planet. While science confirms that an earlier extinction-level event may have wiped out the dinosaurs, what if a third cataclysmic event had taken place, wiping out entire cultures from across the Arabian Peninsula, North Africa, and even the lost city of Atlantis? In 1929, a 400-year-old anomalous artifact was found in the Imperial Archives at Constantinople, Turkey. This artifact was a map drawn in 1513 by the Turkish admiral and cartographer named Piri Reis. What made this map an anomaly was that it accurately showed the geographic positions of North America, South America, and Greenland, only 100 years after the Americas were discovered, and much about the layout of the continent was still unknown. However, the real mystery was not the position of the Americas, but the inclusion of the continent of Antarctica, since it was not discovered until 1820. How did a 16th century cartographer have knowledge of the world he should have not even known existed? The map, which is said to have been created from a variety of ancient sources, is what is now classified as an UPART, which stands for out-of-place artifact. Rumor says some of these sources hint to an ancient civilization that was global, suggesting that there was at least one culture from prehistory that were far more advanced than we could have possibly guessed. There are many other UPARTs. Greek mythology speaks of people, some of who were giants, that possessed knowledge far more advanced than present-day technology. But where are they today? Why is there no real evidence of their existence and technology? The Greek sphere of influence touched the entirety of North Africa, the Levant, and by association, southern Arabia and ancient Persia. All of these cultures reference a species of human, and at times technology that science said should not exist. From Mauritania as the home of the city of Atlantis, to Morocco's Fomorian giants, to Egypt's godlike giants, who may have originated from the lost southern Arabian city of Iran. What could have wiped out all traces of these different peoples and civilizations from existence? Well, the evidence is there and in plain sight. Perhaps through history, life on this planet has gone through several total and partial resets. It is stated in the Quran that upon learning of the creation of mankind, the angels asked God if he will create a race like one that has gone before it. Some say this is a reference to the jinn, a race of beings made of fire, but others say that this could be in reference to a vast civilization similar to humans that existed before the creation of Adam, which raises a somewhat troubling existential question. How many human civilizations could have existed before our own, only to be completely wiped out from history? On a similar scale, there is a fringe theory that states that the biblical cities of Sodom and Gomorrah in the Levant were destroyed by literal atomic weaponry, while others point to the ancient Hindu text of the Mahabharata as a mythological interpretation of a real-life nuclear war that could have reached as far as the Arabian Peninsula and even beyond. In the 2001 book, Secrets of the Lost Races, Rene Noorbergen states that an increasing number of historical and archaeological finds made around the world have been classified as out-of-place artifacts, or UPARTs. They have been called this because they appear unexpectedly among the ruins of the past, with no evidence of a preceding period of development. Their technological sophistication seems far beyond the capabilities of ancient peoples, including the Chaldeans, Sumerians, and Babylonians. What could have been powerful enough that could have wiped out nearly all evidence of them from history? An atomic-level war. As the largest desert in the world, archaeologists say that more than 10,000 years ago, Sahara's barren landscape were in fact once a vast green meadow, flooded with lakes. Officially, geologists state that the Sahara was born 7 million years ago via the movement of the tectonic plates that also created the Mediterranean Sea and the Alps. It was this movement that sparked the drying of the Sahara that turned it into a desert. However, what if the cause of this vast desert landscape was not natural, but technological? It has been noted that the rate of the desertification in the region cannot be easily explained by science, as it simply happened too fast. Perhaps some kind of cataclysmic event occurred in the 100 years or so that turned the Sahara from lush green to a hostile desert, and with that transformation helped wipe out until now an undocumented human civilization. Any atomic war that could have taken place there would have resulted in the desert wastelands we have today, and for this there's evidence. In December 1932, Patrick Clayton, a surveyor from the Egyptian Geological Survey, while driving close to the Saad Plateau in Egypt, heard crunching under the wheels of his car and found great chunks of glass in the sand. The glass, which was natural in the area and mixed with the sand, was also a geological anomaly, as nothing on Earth could naturally raise the temperatures of desert sand, causing it to turn into solid yellow-green glass. This glass can be found all the way from Palestine to the Libyan desert. The light green Libyan glass, called the Rock of God, is gem-like and crystal clear, was used in royal Egyptian jewelry. Then, 10 years after Clayton's discovery, archaeologists conducting excavations in Israel discovered a layer of fused green glass. The layer was 1/4 of an inch thick and covered the area of several hundred square feet. A similar find was made in Iraq a short time earlier during the 1940s. Later in 1996, in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, Italian mineralogist Vincenzo de Michele spotted an unusual yellow-green gem in the middle of one of Tutankhamun's necklaces. When investigating its origins, geologists successfully traced it back to the unexplained chunks of glass found scattered across the Sahara Desert. When the jewel was tested and found to be glass, it was also found to be older than the earlier Egyptian civilization. Some scientists have proposed that the likeliest cause of this glass came from meteorites exploding in the atmosphere, causing glass rocks to explode several miles from the surface of Earth. However, whatever happened in North Africa and the Middle East was far more apocalyptic. In the Libyan desert, there is evidence that at least 2 or more separate blasts took place. Therefore, the probability of 2 separate meteorite impacts occurring so close to each other is very low. Evidence for a separate nuclear blast can be found in the Dendera temple complex in Egypt. It is one of the best preserved temple complexes in the country that has stone steps that appear to be melted. For this to have happened, the temperatures that would be needed to melt solid stone such as this would have been incredibly high. Using this hypothesis that ancient man had access to weapons as powerful as modern man, places events listed in Islamic, Hebrew, and even ancient Hindu texts within technological perspective. With this in mind, Some researchers suggest that the destroyed cities of Sodom and Gomorrah are the Hiroshima and Nagasaki of the distant past. In the Quran, it states that Allah rained down stones unto the people of Lut for their decadent ways. Could this be silicon dioxide, a byproduct of a nuclear blast? In the biblical book of Genesis, it even says, "Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens." Thus, he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, destroying all those living in the cities and also the vegetation in the land. In Hinduism, the epic text Mahabharata refers to weapons similar to modern-day nuclear weapons in both their methods of delivery and the radioactive aftermath of their effects. Gurkha, flying a swift and powerful Vimana, hurled a single projectile charged with the power of the universe. An incandescent column of smoke and flame, as bright as 10,000 suns, rose with all its splendor. It was an unknown weapon, an iron thunderbolt, a gigantic messenger of death, which reduced to ashes the entire race of the Vrishnas and the Ankadas. Corpses were so burned as to be unrecognizable. Hair and nails fell out, pottery broke without apparent cause, and the birds turned white. After a few hours, all foodstuffs were infected. To escape from this fire, the soldiers threw themselves in the streams to wash themselves and their equipment. Some say this text is a dramatization of a real conflict that took place between ancient India and the land of Atlantis. But what if Atlantis was off the coast of northwest Africa, or even in the Mediterranean? This could theoretically explain why the Sahara is the wasteland it is today, encompassing the entirety of the North Africa and Arabia. This could be the evidence found in Egypt and Libya of the excessive levels of heat. There are even ancient Sumerian texts found in Iraq where the deity Ninurta used a powerful weapon against his enemies, the Anuna. They fled across the horizon in their flying machines to escape the devastation. The writings describe a primitive perspective on the blast, cataclysm and aftermath of the powerful nuclear-type detonation. The event is referred to as the Great Cataclysm. Could this be the extinction event that ended the reign of the dinosaurs on Earth? At the end of the 3rd millennium BC, the great Sumerian civilization came to an abrupt end. Its sudden demise was detailed in numerous texts that have been discovered by archaeologists. The texts ascribe the calamity to an evil wind that came blowing from the west, from the direction of the Mediterranean Sea, a deathly cloud that caused excruciating pain to all living beings, people and animals alike, that withered plants and poisoned the waters. Frederick Soddy, a well-known physicist from around the turn of the last century, said this in 1909. "I believe that there have been civilizations in the past that were familiar with atomic energy, and that by misusing it they were totally destroyed. However, no mainstream scientist or historian endorses the idea of prehistoric atomic bombs, and nearly all experts believe the evidence cited to support the idea is misinterpreted at the best and fraudulent at the worst. Until the first nuclear blast in 1945, no human civilization had possessed the power to completely destroy civilization. But according to the skeptic Jason Colavito, imagining such a civilization in the deep past that had the ability to wipe out nations serves two powerful purposes, both of which are poetic. First, it provides the morality tale for the modern world. A great civilization, human or alien, once had the power to destroy the world. They misused the power and destroyed themselves. We must therefore avoid their fate. Second, it provides a comforting ray of hope. Although earlier human civilization had been destroyed, we are still here today. Humanity can and will survive nuclear war, and the species will go on.